Hey guys, and so in this video we're going to go through what Bootstrap looks like and how it's useful, and we're even going to look into the future a little bit of what Bootstrap 4 is going to offer once it is in a kind of a production version. So right now it's in alpha, and I wouldn't recommend using it in production just because a lot of things might change, at least some things that might be important to you and your project. So quick overview is Bootstrap is a HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework. That means that it has CSS styles for your grid, basically a 12-column grid that you could size up, any size between 1 and 12. So you could basically make a set of columns that go side by side, or maybe they are lined up in some other way. You can do quite a bit with the grid. So to get started with Bootstrap, you could use the CDN links that they provide you here. And then also you can use Bower npm to get started there, along with several other elements that you might find useful. You can even pull in basically a basic template, and still you need to pull in those assets or change them with the CDN links. There's a few examples that they give you of what those elements look like and how you may lay out the page. So there's maybe a great starting point to click on one of these and then view the source and then basically copy everything they have here. The only thing you need to know is that you'll want to pull in your own versions of the CSS into your project. But this is just a great way to at least see how they may lay out the navigation or show some content. So very, very helpful templates there. So if you go to the top, you can also see some of the CSS elements. So we'll talk about that grid here, to where you can see that it is a 12-column grid, along with different ways of showing how the content is laid out. So you can see that, imagine this being text and maybe an image to the right. So you can size up 8 columns to the left and then 4 columns to the right. So these elements are side by side on a middle size screen. So that's what the MD stands for, is middle, medium. And then for the other sizes that are available are extra small for a very small mobile phone, small, greater than 750 pixels, and then also medium, what we talked about earlier, is greater than 970, and then also large is 1170. And so this is mobile first approach. If you only define a column medium for the columns you want to define here, just like this, these are only going to work for medium and up. So this mobile first approach is that all of column XS and column SM are still going to be 12 by default. So just to keep that in mind as we size down, I'll size this down and show you that all of these are now stacked on top of each other, and that means that they are 12 columns all the way across, and that's how much space that these take up, is all 12, unless defined differently depending on the size you want the element to be. So this is just really nice to be able to set the screen size for how wide you want the column set to be, how wide you want your content to be. So this is just the greatest thing about Bootstrap, is these media queries they've already defined for you, and you just get to use these classes and put them into your HTML, which starts getting messy after you add so many classes, but you are getting that benefit of being able to call a certain size. So kind of pros and cons here. So with the Bootstrap 4, I'm going to link this resource below, but you'll see what's different between Bootstrap 3 and 4. Looks like they're changing from less and sass for the new version, moving away from pixels, making a larger font, a global font size up to 16, and then looks like they're adding a new tier for the grid, and that's going to be XL for much larger screens, maybe a 27-inch or greater. And then also offset looks like it's changed a little bit, and you'll just get familiar with all the other elements and just make sure before you switch to 4 just how it may affect your project or a project you're about to start, and how you want to use this. But again, for this video, I recommend Bootstrap 3 until Bootstrap 4 is ready for a production standpoint. That said, I did make a gist here for version 3, and then I made another one for version 4 and made note that it is alpha. Basically what you can do is take this, copy it, and put this on your server, and then if you wanted to do it locally, you might add here the HTTP colon here in front to make sure that it's making a request to another server instead of looking for these files locally. But this is just what I'll do. I'll copy this into a file and then start editing. And this way I already have the CDN links to Bootstrap, CSS, and then also the Bootstrap JavaScript. So this is just available if you want it. I'll put a link in the description for you. So the next is CodePen. This is a great way just to test really quickly. If you wanted to use Bootstrap, you could go to CSS at the top, click on Bootstrap to add it. It's going to give you the link. And just to make note, this is going to be for alpha. And then also, if you wanted to add in the JavaScript, you do the same thing, go down to Bootstrap, and you would add in the JavaScript. So just to note also, you need to add in jQuery and put that on top because Bootstrap uses jQuery. So you'd save and close, and then you'd have a code pen that you could start laying out the content. So let's say we did container, and let's see, container tab, we'll do a row as well, and then also a column, medium, and we'll do, going to 12. Inside that, we'll do a paragraph of lorem. Again, just some Latin fake content, just to show you an example. I can do another column right below that, and let's see if we can change the width. So you'll see what the column does if I change it to 8, and then if I do it again, change 1 to 3. So it might be helpful if I gave these some headings. So we'll do a H2 and 3 lorem, and then we'll copy this all the way out. Two, and then also, yes, I'd like to stay. Wrong button. And then 1. So you can see how the content is laid out here already. And it looks like 3 is acting a little funny. So let's see what's going on. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's pushed out the way it is. Oh, 13. That isn't going to be helpful. So 3. So now we have 8 and 3. Well, it doesn't take up, if it takes up more than 12, it'll bump it down to the next line. So 8 and 3, we'd have to bring it up to 5 to be able to go down the next line. You can see how they line up side by side here. So if we brought this to 4 and 4, we've still got another third here on the right that we could fill up with content. So it just makes it really easy to use this grid. Last thing is you can use the master branch, which is version 3. Just watch out when you open it up, it'll show you the version 4 that's available. So you just want to make sure you switch to master, and then you could clone a copy of Bootstrap this way. So that is how Bootstrap works, how you can get it started in a project very quickly, and just how amazing it is to be able to use the buttons that are available and all of the other elements they've already styled up. So Bootstrap, welcome. I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye.